Happy New Year to all real estate buyers, potential buyers, those seeking to buy, and those who are future buyers. But whoever you are, this is a good time, and we thought this year should be put into perspective. A year of dramatic policy changes behind us. We've got RERA, GST, Insolvency Act, we've got the Benami transactions amended, and we've got a host of other small tinkering to existing acts which have more or less brought the property markets into sharp focus, and property buying is something that consumers are considering again. I'm Jayashree Kurup. I'm editor on Magicbricks, and I have with me Prabhakar Sinha, real estate editor of the Times of India. We are talking about the completed projects. What's happening with the completed projects? Who should be buying? And what are the prospects of 2018? Welcome to a brand new year and a brand new show. Prabhakar, let's start with the process of handing over of projects has begun all over the country. So if we step into the new year and we say that what is the one thing that we carry forward into the year? More deliveries?
Yeah, that is certain. Particularly in Uttar Pradesh, UP, Noida, Greater Noida and Yamuna, the government is very, very conscious of this fact that unless the deliveries are given, market cannot be revived. And again, another thing is this, there is a huge distress among the buyers also, or the customers, that these deliveries are not happening. But for last 6 months, the government has come out very aggressively, and because of their effort and because of the efforts of the authorities, particularly Noida, Greater Noida and Yamuna, as they have promised that 80,000 apartments will be given a position by March, and so far they are saying that they have promised that 80,000 apartments will be given a position by March, and so far they are saying they have promised that 80,000 apartments will be given.
We're sorry for that small technical glitch. Please go ahead.
Yeah, and so far they have already given around 20,000 apartments. And by another 15 days, by particularly mid-January, they are saying that another 12,000 apartments will be given for position in Greater Noida area only.
That will take the total up to?
That is around 30,000.
30,000.
And besides that, by March, they are saying that another 20,000, particularly in Greater Noida, they are saying will be given. So that makes 50,000 around. And then the Noida and this Yamuna authority, they will be given something around 25,000 apartments. So they are very aggressive. Now, like they have started so many schemes, and they are helping builders so that they can give possession or they can get the completion certificate as fast as possible, so that deliveries can be offered, can be given. There are some issues. They are trying to iron out those issues also, particularly the issues for the zero period or the issues for the farmers' additional compensation which were given. And authorities saying that we had already appointed a committee, and that committee has given the report, and now that report will be discussed in the next board meeting
of Greater Noida. What is the report about?
The report about that, what about that zero period particularly, and the compensation of the additional compensation to the farmers. Now, those are the issues. Now, additional compensation, I believe that is not going to be forgo. Because the authority's point of view is that the developers are already collecting it from the buyers. So they should, when they have already passed it on to the buyers, why not the authority will also collect it from the developers?
So in the end, it's the buyer who's paying that additional compensation.
Additional compensation. So authority is saying that no, that part we will not consider. But so far it goes to this zero period, particularly the period during which the court order was there, and because of that, if the construction were not allowed for that period, they are saying that they will waive off the interest, they will waive off the other delay charges also.
When is this expected to happen?
This has happened this week. By the next week, this will be announced. So this will be a major issue which the developers are saying that is causing problems for getting the completion certificate.
Right.
So that will be done. Now, if that is done, and besides that, the authority is also saying that whatever dues is there, you just pay 10% of that dues, and they will regularize the account and they will start giving the completion certificate up to 50% of the flats of that project.
Okay.
So that is a huge issue. As soon as these flats going for the completion certificate, getting the completion certificate and going for the possessions, the end user, the buyers will have to pay the rest of the amount. And with the rest of the amount, the builders can clear the dues for the other half of the projects. Now, if that happens, then the entire project will be cleared as soon as that registry will start. So this is the one way where how they are trying to expedite the whole this process. And besides that, they are also trying to find out that which projects are possible to be completed with the internal accruals. If that can be done, then they are saying that the authority will participate or monitor, and they may appoint an outsider contractor and bring in the buyers also on the board, and they will try to create an atmosphere in which buyers will start paying and with which the project can be completed. Sure. So for all that, now the authorities are ready to take that responsibility, and authorities are ready to work with the buyers and the builders together to complete the project. Right. So this augurs well for the whole thing, and because of this only, I am of the opinion that particularly this process of completion will expedite and will happen fast.
Prabhakar, here we're talking about the Noida and Greater Noida markets, probably Indirapuram and Ghaziabad as well.
Yeah.
But let's take the other end of the city, which is the Gurgaon market, which there are two problems as I see it. One, we have a large expressway, which we have been addressing again and again, which is the infrastructure bottleneck, which is not allowing the homes to become livable. The second is that market was driven by investment of middle classes and upper middle classes. A large number of people who had entered the markets as investors, who possibly thought that they could grow their money and exit. And when the markets have not grown as much as they expected, they are under stress.
Yeah.
And you can't sell off the projects because the market is under stress. What do you see 2018 bringing for Gurgaon?
Now, particularly for the investors. Now, the problem is this, that every asset has a investment cycle. Sure. Okay. So now real estate had a bad investment cycle for last around 5 years. Now it was caught into that.
Yeah.
Now, so those investors who had invested say 3 years back or 5 years back or 7 years back, they might not have made money. But now see from here today. Now, as I keep repeating it, that today you will find that the replacement cost is higher than the today's ready to move in flat.
Right.
So that means that if at all this industry has to go, the prices has to move up. Now, industry will continue because houses are required. There are people who are to buy, and there will be people who will come into the job market and they will keep on buying. So that means market will move. So the prices are going to go up. Only problem today is that overhang inventory. Right. Now, so long as this overhang inventory will be there, there will be a pressure on the price point and the price might not go up very fast. But these overhang going to be, as soon as the job market will revive or the economy will take an upturn, naturally the demand for houses will increase. Yeah. And this, I believe that in in Gurgaon market, or the Gurgaon market particularly, where the lot of Fortune 500 companies or other companies are already operating. And I hope that in 2018, economy is going to revive very, very fast. And in that condition, the job market will improve. And so the demand for houses will increase very fast. And so the prices of the houses. So what I want to say is this, that 2018-19 onwards, the real estate might come out of this present recession and it might slip into or go into a very upward factor.
Is it going to be a very gradual?
It's a gradual because the two things is here that now because right now the supply, whatever supply is coming, it is coming in the affordable housing. But not many people are would like to go for the affordable housing up to 600 square feet carpet area or 900 square feet built up area. So for those people, I'm telling you that 2019 onwards, there will be a scarcity because there are not new launches are happening, and these houses are going to be completed by 2018 up to mid of 2019. Most of the launched projects will be completed, and so they will be in the market. So prices will be under pressure by then, but beyond that, the prices is going to shoot up. So what I mean to say that when you will like to catch it up at that point of time, you might miss it also. So this might start before that. Now, only problem with the prices going to go up, what I feel is that the government policy of not allowing tax concession or the tax benefits for the real estate asset as an investment. Earlier, what used to happen, that if you have bought a real estate project or real estate house, say a house or the flat or anything, and you declare it as an investment, then the entire interest payment on that loan, which has been taken to buy that house, can be deducted from your taxable income. So the benefit was huge. That provision has been done away with in the last budget. So because of that, the large investors are not coming into the market.
That was deliberate on the part of the government to cool the market.
Cool the market, exactly. Yes. And so for the end users, I'm telling you that this is a very good time, because that provision now, of course, this investment government might think to continue like that, but the demand ultimately is going to drive the market. And this demand will start coming up in 2018, third quarter or fourth quarter. And once it will start going up, then I'll tell you, like in 2004, 2005, 2003, 2004, once the market starts going up, then suddenly people jump into that. And then you think that, okay, fine, the market should, I missed it at the lowest level, but if you, by the time you will decide to buy it, it will go much higher.
Right.
So for the investor particularly, and for the end users also, now 1 year time period is not very long. Yeah. For to purchase a house.
In fact, we find that on Magicbricks, the consumer trend is that there is consumers take up to 7 to 8 months to decide which house to buy.
Exactly.
From the time you start buying, looking for the house, you do your research and everything. There is a period of about 7 months in which the consumers studying the market, understanding it, looking for the right house, negotiating, and conclusion of the sale happens only then.
Exactly that. Exactly that. And so that is the time when the prices, now, if you want to invest in the real estate, one thing is very sure, that one need to be remain invested at least for the 5 years. That is the time period. Now, in fact, 5 years is not a very long time also, because if you see in the last 5 years, what has happened, that the entire, earlier it used to be 3 to 5 years, market used to revive. Right. This time it has taken a bit longer. So 5 years is not a very long period for real estate, but that is the minimum period to which you must invest so that you can counter the downturn.
Sure. So, sure. Prabhakar, let's quickly start looking at other markets as well. We see that wherever
the Gurgaon market. So what I want to say, that Gurgaon market is very good for both the investor as well as the end users at present. And now at the Noida market, now Noida market supply is huge, but the people are saying that the prices may go down further. I'm telling you that's not possible.
I don't think prices are going down any further.
No, it's not possible now.
Right. It's not possible because the cost of replacement, like Prabhakar says, the cost of replacement is greater than the cost of acquisition. In the sector
150 Noida today, the new launches are happening at 5,500 to 6,500 rupees a square feet, whereas apartment in sector 137 or say in 142 in other sectors like this, you will get ready to move in flat for 4,800 to 5,500 rupees a square feet.
Right.
Now, those developers are also good developers, and once the project is completed and the building is okay, now you cannot say that the other projects which is being launched today will be better after 5 years and this flat, this apartment after 5 years will be inferior to that. That's not the case. It's not possible.
In fact, today everybody is developing quality products because two reasons.
Yeah.
One is that there is a 5-year zero defect liability on RERA. You have to have projects of quality which pass the consumer's scrutiny.
Yeah.
The second thing is that you are looking at RERA, which is holding a stick on the developer and saying that if you've committed to a timeline, you have to meet the timeline. Now, Prabhakar, some very interesting judgments that have come out of Maharashtra RERA, where the RERA authority has said that if the completion date that was promised to you is missed, you have to be given your MCLR rate of penalty.
Yeah.
Which means the developers can ill afford to delay.
Exactly.
Right? So everyone seems to be wanting to complete projects on time, and therefore there is a pressure on developers. There's a pressure on the market to keep performing.
Exactly. Now that is the way, and that is what government wants, and that is the way you can create confidence of buyers in the market, which is very, very required.
Yes.
If you want market to perform, market to continue, performing, then certainly the confidence level of the stakeholders in the market should be high. Now, what has happened today in the Noida, Greater Noida or Gurgaon, particularly in the NCR market, the buyers' confidence is very low because they think that developers never give apartments, the flats on position. They never complete the projects. Now, that is the situation also because 80% of the apartments have not been completed. But that situation is not going to remain here now.
And that situation is more or less in the past. Today, developers who have registered their projects with RERA have to meet the timelines or the penalties are very, very high. Therefore, the projects are being delivered. And today what we notice is that end consumers are actually looking at purchasing for self-use, especially completed projects. And when you look at future end use, for instance, people who have just got into the jobs market, it is a good time for them to pick up early stage?
Yeah, and now look, two things here. Now, if you want to buy a ready-to-move-in apartments, now suppose you have just started a job and you are living with your parent, but you say that, okay, now I have enough salary to pay the EMI, but not the EMI of the full house. So suppose a house is 1 crore rupees, and 1 crore rupees if you borrow from the bank, the EMI will be something around 70,000, 75,000 to 80,000 rupees. So now you may think that is not possible, but right now he say he can pay the 40,000 rupees. So for that kind of a buyers, even the apartments which are not completed and which have just been launched or likely to be launched by good developer, like say Godrej, ATS, or this kind of a developer, then you can buy into that and you go for this construction linked payment. Then you can start paying the EMI on the lesser amount which is required right now. And after 3 years or 4 years or 5 years, like in some of the cases now, these developers are also giving timeline of 5 years, up to 5 years. So by then your earning will also go up and situation will be different. And then you complete the entire payment and then you pay the EMI on that entire amount. So what I want to say that it's a graded kind of a payment scheme you take, and you can think of buying those houses. Because if you'll buy the ready-to-move-in flat, you'll have to borrow the entire amount because you'll have to make the entire payment up front. So that means you'll have to borrow and you'll have to pay EMI on the entire amount. So that might be the costly. So what I want to say is that for those buyers who want to, look, everybody who has started his job today, he need a house at least after 3 years or 5 years. Right. So for those kind of a buyers, it is better to buy at this point of a time because in many cases, let me tell you, which project have been launched at such a price, 5,000, 5,500 or 6,000 rupees. Now, those projects, I know that some of the projects which were launched at 2,500 rupees, in 2003, 2004, today it is quoting at humongous price. I should not now quote that price today, but it is more than 10 times.
Yeah, but that was a very an aberration in the market where the authority had given the developers land with only 10% payment for the cost
because
of the land.
That, the supply glut is supply has increased, and so this is glut in the market of
So
the,
if
so
you
many
expect that
projects.
prices are going to be, new launches are going to happen at below market rates, that's not going to happen again. That was an
Nobody will
artificial
launch
situation.
below the cost of construction.
Yes.
Nobody will launch. I mean, this is the minimum cost. You sit with a developer and they'll explain it to you that what is the cost of the construction today along with the land price. So they are saying that below this price, simply they cannot complete the project.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's pick up some of the queries that have started coming in. There's Aman Siddiqui who says his uncle is about to retire from the government service and will get around 50 lakh from his GPF. He wants to invest in real estate. What kind of product and what are the locations that he should be looking for? Here there are two queries. Should somebody use the entire PF money to buy a house, or should you go for a loan? If you're a retiree, can you access any loan? And otherwise, are you going to use your entire life's retirement savings to buy a house today because the houses are ready and complete? This was the situation probably pre-1998 when the housing and habitat
Now, if he is a standalone person, I will not advise him. Why? Because now on this 50 lakh of rupees or 60 lakh of rupees, whatever he buys, he will get in, say, rental income, say up to 15,000 rupees only.
I think he's looking at self-use. No, he's retiring and he would like to.
Then he should, but he's saying for investment purpose.
For investment purpose, right?
For investment purpose.
Right.
So now, but if this amount is surplus, now suppose, and if he thinks to invest it, say for next 10 years or after 10 years he will require this money, or 15 years he will require this money, then I will say that he should invest in an area where the infrastructure is going to be completed very soon, or say in 2 years down the line or 3 years down the line, so that the value will be unlocked as soon as that infrastructure project is completed, and then he can get the appreciation and he can sell and exit and with the premium.
So let's quickly talk about what is the infrastructure project that Prabhakar is talking about. This could be a flyover, this could be a metro line, this could be a road connectivity. There are many projects which are in various stages of completion, which either they were announced and not started, they are started but not completed, they have been delayed. But today, with the kind of pressure there is on the road sector, I think the completion of projects has become much easier.
Yeah, they are happening now. They are happening now. Government is investing in money. Last year, this year budget, government has put in something around 3.98 lakh, almost 4 lakh crore rupees in the road construction. So that kind of a money is flowing into, and government determination to improve the infrastructure sector, and particularly the road transport sector. So what I would say that, and as soon as, like, let me tell you, I'm not telling him that to invest in this area. Say the Dwarka Expressway. Now, as soon as Dwarka Expressway is completed, now what will happen, that a lot of value is going to be unlocked in that area, because that area will become functional. So similarly, like the Greater Noida.
And I'd like to put a rider here for those consumers who have been tracking us on Twitter. When we say the Dwarka Expressway is going to be completed, we think that there is every indication that the Dwarka Expressway, there is a lot of effort to take it through to completion. Many land parcels that were stuck in litigation have been cleared, and there have been notifications saying that the farmhouses that were on the Dwarka Expressway that were holding up the project.
In the Delhi side, that has been already taken
over, and the notification has been published. We are basing our inputs on what is happening in the public space and our feedback from the authorities that there is a lot of effort to get the Dwarka Expressway moving. There is of course, a lot of agitated buyers out there who feel that we are pushing the Dwarka Expressway, but we would like to tell you that this expressway, by all indications, is going to go through to completion. And when it goes through, we cannot predict whether it's this month, next month, or the month after that. But whenever it goes through to completion, what we can assure you is that there is so much stock and there is so much demand in that area, and it's locationally very well.
Exactly. Locationally, it is so positioned, so close to Dwarka, so close to South Delhi, so close to Gurgaon, that the prices, are likely to go up. Okay. Similarly, the Greater Noida. Now, as soon as this metro is going to be completed, or say the road to this Rajnagar extension, now, as soon as the connectivity to this area improves, then prices are certainly likely to go up, because now anybody, say, buying in Dwarka at 12,000 rupees a square feet, a DDA flat, I mean, he will certainly like to buy at 7,000 or 8,000 rupees with all the facilities, all the new amenities in Dwarka Expressway itself, which is hardly 500 meters away.
Right. And that is likely to trigger a huge amount of upgrade buyers in the market. We'd like to tell you that while we are talking about the Delhi NCR, because this has been the most troubled market and we are using that as a case study, the same applies to peripheral markets of Mumbai, where
And
there
Bangalore.
are 7 infrastructure projects
Yeah.
happening, and the same thing is happening in Bangalore. So we think that as the infrastructure projects move forward, your real estate investment is likely to yield better returns. Prabhakar, another query. There is Harsha who says she was promised possession in January, but she's still waiting for it. She wants to rent out her 1 BHK and is not able to get the desired rentals in the expressway. Will rentals improve in the future? We think rentals are going to remain muted, aren't we?
Yeah.
So when we tell you that this is a good time to buy, please remember that your regular rental income is not going to be huge because there is so much stock in the market. But what will happen is whatever project you've got today, by the time the amount of excess stock gets depleted in the market, the leveraged values will certainly see a rise.
And particularly on the expressway, NoidaGreater Noida expressway, lot of office spaces have come up. Now, as soon as their occupation will happen, then the demand for this rentals will go up.
Yeah.
Rental houses will go up, and so the rentals are likely to go up. And not many one-bedroom apartments are there in this area. There are something like in the tier.
But it is also in demand. There is a lot of demand for one bedroom. So Harsha, please understand that there will be demand. You will be able to lease out your property, but will the rentals be improving significantly?
Exactly.
Not for a while.
Not for a while. At least, I mean, I should not specify the period.
Yeah.
Because we can't say that it's
Right.
6 months or 1 year time, but it will depend on as soon as those offices space occupation will start happening.
Right.
So that is the main
Two
thing.
drivers. One is that there should be a robust jobs market where fresh buyers start coming into the market. The second is that the existing stock gets depleted and there is more demand than supply. That's when prices start going, and that's not happening in any time very soon.
Very soon.
We've got Suresh Verma from Gurgaon who says he's a 30-year-old IT professional planning to buy a flat in Gurgaon with a budget of 80 to 90 lakh. But I have heard so much negativity on delays and construction quality now. I feel I should continue to live in a rental home. What should buyers like me do?
He should go for the completed house.
Suresh, go for a completed house. Go for those. There are lots of projects which are by developers who are giving you quality.
Yeah.
And in today's RERA-driven world, the developers are giving you good quality of services. If they don't, they have to fix it because the RERA authorities are going to force them to.
And for this price, you can get house in most of the part of the Gurgaon.
80 to 90 lakh, you should be able to get. Go ahead and look for your house. Go for a completed house. Don't go for under construction yet. The Gurgaon market, we would still suggest go for completed houses. And there are plenty of stock. There's plenty of stock in the market.
Yeah.
There's Mahira Singh from Noida who says, don't you think the developers are holding on to units and not selling to buyers at reasonable rates, as even they are waiting for prices to go up and then sell their RM units?
No, they are not in the position today to hold up because most of the developers are in huge debt and they are paying their interest and all that. So just to service their debt, they are forced to sell the units.
So
or otherwise, they are borrowing at a
stocking. It's not happening.
Not happening.
Holding stock is not happening.
Not happening.
There is Nikhil Singh from Noida who says he's checked a few details on RERA portals and noticed that builders have notified tower-wise details. Yeah. Launch and possession dates are also given as per towers. Why is that so? Prabhakar, maybe it's good to explain this.
Actually what has happened, now this is very good thing basically if they are doing this. Otherwise, what will happen that say a project of say 50 acre or 100 acres of land. Now, those entire project will be completed or launched in a phased manner. Say first 5 acres in which they will give the 2 or 3 towers, another 5 acre in which they will put another 4 or 5 acres. Now, what happens that if you will give the completion period for the entire 100 acre project, then they normally give 10 years time. So now if you are a buyer today, so when you will buy, the sale agreement will say that you will get your house in 2021. But on the RERA side, many developer has given the completion date of 2025. Now the issue is this, that if 2021 he misses that deadline, now if you go to the RERA may say that ki boss, you have completed it, his completion date according to our record is 2025. But two things is here. So at least in this case, he is giving you tower-wise completion certificate and putting it on the RERA. So he is accountable to complete the project according to RERA also on that date.
Right.
So it is better for the buyer to go for this kind of a project. Right. Otherwise also, what is happening now that many of the good developers have done this. So I was talking to them. Now they are saying it, ki boss, if I will delay it beyond the date which is given in the buyer's agreement, I will be liable to pay as per the RERA rate, that is the SBI MCLR rate, compensation to the buyers. So he says that the completion date which has been given to the RERA site is for the entire project. For the tower wise or for the individual project wise or the flat wise, it is the sale agreement which suggests whatever date, that is the final, and beyond that I'll have to pay the compensation. That is what the developers are saying, and that is what authorities are also saying. RERA is also saying that if he'll delay it beyond that, that sale agreement date, then he'll have to pay the compensation. But there, at least there is some confusion. But if a developer is giving it tower-wise completion, and you are buying in that particular tower, and you know it that this completion date is given on the RERA, so it is very transparent, and it is a good thing.
It is good for you. Actually, we think that tower-wise completion is good for you in many ways. One, like Prabhakar said, that you as a buyer know exactly when you get your house, and if it's not coming to you, RERA is going to force the developer to pay you the compensation.
Yeah.
Two, it keeps the finances moving. Remember, a large project, and many projects are very large in nature. If the first 3 towers are sold, the construction starts, and the money is being taken to complete it, the meter of the financial meter of the builder keeps ticking. You get receivables.
Two things here. Now there is some issue also, and I will explain that how this issue has been is being compensated also. Like what has happened that in an entire project there are certain common area. Like they'll say that okay, I'll give you a golf course, or they'll say that I'll give you a big ground, but that big ground is in the entire township. So in the first phase, certainly that big ground or that kind of a common area will not be developed in the first phase. But for that, in the first phase, the prices are also low. And as the projects will continue, prices will keep on going up. And when the project finally is completed, then all that facilities will come up. But at least you know that what exactly you are buying.
Exactly. You know exactly what you're buying, and you know that as you're buying it at a lower cost when the future facilities have not come. But when the facilities come, you know that your property is going to get better value. There is Leena Mehta from Gurgaon who says, why are we still in a situation where buyers are not able to find a house at the right time? Why does it take so much time for a buyer to decide to buy? I think today it's the crisis of confidence among the buyers. We went through a difficult phase, no doubt about it.
Many things, the buyer's choices are different. And according to your choice, you may not find suitable house.
Yes.
Now somebody say that, okay, I would like to eastward facing, or somebody say that, no, southward facing. So it is individual choice. And so, houses or the developer will not construct houses as per your choice. And today houses, the buyers are very finicky. They would like to have house according to their specification. And for they'll have to go around that from here to there to find out the house for most suitable to them.
Actually, one is that you have to find buying a house is such an emotional issue, Prabhakar. When no person would just go and buy a house without figuring out whether his parent is happy with it, his wife is happy with it, and so on. The other thing is that when you buy a house, remember that today we've been through a patch where houses were delayed, people are paying EMIs, haven't got their houses, and today the demand is for completed houses. The number of, while we have been telling you again and again that houses are coming through to completion, there is a very large percentage of houses that are still under construction, and consumers, while they assess them, we still feel that when it is in the completion phases is when consumers are buying it. Therefore, you have to wait till you are de-risked from the purchase.
Yeah. And you'll have to, and I have seen many buyers who simply doesn't know that what exactly he wants. He will say that his mom would like to house like this, his other friend would like to house like this.
Yeah.
So then lot of choices. When you are going to visit a house, then you will come to so many things. And then they will say that no, actually one my friend, he is trying to choose a house for last 6 months and he is still not identified, though his budget is quite okay. 1.25 crore, up to 1.25 crore is ready to pay. But, and let me tell you another thing, that the most of the completed house which he chose and wanted to say that, okay, fine, I am going to come back in 3 days time or 5 days time, I'll buy it. I mean, I can't believe it, but those houses were already sold.
Which means there's a very large volume of active buyers who are probably at the end of their search cycle,
Yeah.
who are quickly buying when you see a house that is good and ready to move. Sometimes when you buy a house, sometimes the balconies are not big enough. Sometimes the rooms seem too small. Maybe a kitchen's direction is not quite to your liking. So it does take time, and we feel that today the consumers had the luxury of waiting endlessly because
so many choices are there.
Because of choices, but slowly those choices have started shrinking. Like
Yeah.
Prabhakar's friend, when you go take time to make your choices, the actual unit that you desperately want to buy may not always be available.
Yeah, exactly.
And that situation we have already started seeing, especially in the ready to move in houses. There is Arun Kumar from Faridabad who says, what is the status of Faridabad real estate market? Why is this market still unable to kick off? Prabhakar, a metro line has come. There is its accessibility to South Delhi is quite okay, but that market is still very weak from the rest of the NCR point of view.
Road connectivity is still not up to the mark, particularly as soon as you enter into the Delhi side in the ring road. I mean, there is a lot of congestion. So because of this, I believe that the people might feel that it was coming from Faridabad to Delhi, particularly through the road transport for a car, is not that easy. And that is the major, I believe, that bottleneck for Faridabad. So particularly
its
this Ashram
connectivity to Delhi, Gurgaon has been improved.
Yeah, but from the, see the Ashram Chowk. Now, as soon as you are hitting the Ashram Chowk, I mean, you always in the mindset, okay, boss, there will be a jam and there will be a problem here. So you cannot predict that, okay, I will cross this Ashram Chowk in 10 minutes or half an hour or 5 minutes. I mean, it's always surprises are there. So because of those factors, connectivity particularly, and I believe that authorities should work on it to remove that bottlenecks to Faridabad. Either they should give the other other road networks, like one which was coming towards this Push Bihar and all that, this road. So if they will had they completed this road, I believe the situation would have improved.
Do you see that happening? Is it under consideration?
They are doing it, but it is not that fast.
It's not a priority project.
It's not a very priority project, and they are not widening it. They are not working much on it. So they should do it, particularly unless they will. And now the Bahadurgarh is coming up, so the traffic on that road is going to increase quite substantially. Now, if they'll think that only metro will be a viable route, particularly for NCR, let me tell you, the metro is still a second choice. It is not the first choice. Particularly those who are buying a house of 80 lakh or 1 crore of rupees, they are, I mean, the car driver, they live on the, they travel in car and they would like to go in the car because
the last mile connectivity anyway from public transport is a big issue. And in a city like Delhi NCR, where safety is a big concern, especially when it's women and if you're traveling late and so on, it is a concern. And therefore, a lot of people still rely on private transport rather than public transport.
Exactly. And that's a major point. And that is where I believe the Faridabad is lacking.
Right. The road connectivity enhancement is the big issue. There's another issue. Naharpar was the area where all private development should have happened, and one of the largest developers there is BPTP. What is the status of that project, Prabhakar?
They have started giving the position. They have given position also, but it is very, I mean, now of course they are doing it, but still not many projects are not completed. And
incomplete projects has been a very large project problem in the Naharpar area, and Faridabad's market actually suffered big time.
And now what happened that there were a large number of investors there. So what has happened that as the prices have not gone up, so the many plots are still vacant. They have not completed the constructed the projects. So the development has not happened, and even the people are not living. So there is a problem in that area, and the prices, that is why, is not moving that fast.
And we
as it
cannot
was
predict
expected.
how the Faridabad market is going to perform in the future. Like Prabhakar says, once road connectivity enhances, maybe we will start seeing some movement there.
Particularly FNG road. After FNG, I believe that there should be some movement, because FNG is very important, and FNG is still hanging. I mean,
completely
in
hanging
uncertainty.
fire.
Yeah.
We haven't seen much, even
Now NH has dropped it. NH has dropped it. Now it is the authority has to complete the project,
and
now
acquisition is not happening.
Not happening. So there is some problem on that side.
Right. There's Mohit Sharma from Greater Noida, who has invested in Greater Noida and now see that there is no transport connectivity networks as of now. You cannot travel without your own vehicle. You can why connectivity is ignored by the authorities in upcoming residential markets.
In the 6 months' time, metro will start to the Greater Noida, and that will. But metro has the only one alignment. The Greater Noida is very wide, so from the other side they'll have to travel. But inside the Greater Noida also there is no public transport system. So then he'll have to take his own vehicle to reach to there. In fact, in Greater Noida you will not find many three-wheelers or the taxis also. So he will have to use some vehicle or his own transport to reach to the metro station and then to travel. So that is the problem in the Greater Noida, that authority has not started, or the local people, because the population is not that much, that the businessman or the other transporters will start their private transport system there. So that's where the Greater Noida is lacking. I believe it will take some time, and particularly after metro, what I feel that the many people will start living in Greater.
Occupancy will go up, and then we expect
public transport will come up.
Once occupancy goes up, unfortunately in India, once the occupancy comes only, does public transport come and not the other way around.
So after 6 months, things will start improving.
Wait for another 6 months, we think things will improve. There's Neera Bhatia from Dubai who says, while the whole focus has shifted to affordable housing, while there are a good number of NRI buyers who are searching for luxury properties, why is nobody talking about this segment? I think actually there is a lot of luxury properties in the market which is looking for buyers like you. The point is that the neglected part of the market was the affordable housing. Unless all segments of the housing market are addressed, the housing market cannot be considered robust. And the government did find that what is the biggest problem that cities are coping with? Slums. Why did slums come? Because we did not think about how the lower middle classes and the EWS sector, where are they going to stay? Because they are vital to the city's economy, but they have to stay somewhere. And unless you make housing available to everybody, you are going to have more and more slums coming up in cities. And we have a very rapid migration from villages to cities.
Availability of luxurious house is very much in all part of the city and entire country.
You don't need government prod to get luxury housing. Luxury housing gives the developer the amount of money he spends in marketing a luxury house and an affordable house is more or less the same. But the amount of money he makes out of luxury housing is far more. Therefore, the government policy will always have a social objective and will push for affordable housing. Luxury housing, we think, is more or less stable and up there.
And now particularly this under PMAY, now government is giving this 2.38 lakhs rupees subsidies. That is also for the luxury houses, because it is given according to the size of the house. And now, because as per it is the size of the house, so I mean anybody up to 1200 square feet or 1800 square feet, anybody, I mean a luxury house is not more than 1800 square feet, anyone can buy it. With that, even the government is not saying that, okay, we will not promote the luxury house, but only saying that they will not focus on that. They will focus on the affordable housing. And because still in Noida, now today, there are only the luxury houses launch are happening. Say in Godrej, ATS, this the other, so many. All these developers are launching the luxury houses one day. So, sector 150 entirely is for the luxury houses.
So, Leena, your segment is not neglected. We just hear more about affordable because that is the policy push that is happening. There is Nikhil Singh says, I have checked a few details on RERA portal. That I think we took. There's Suresh Verma of Gurgaon who says, I'm a 30-year-old IT professional. I think we've already taken this. There's Harish Pillai says, Indian housing market is in a bubble even at current levels. Garbage infrastructure versus high prices. There is a huge crash soon. Harish, that is a misnomer. The crash, or at least the downgrading of prices, has already happened. We've been saying this again and again. As infrastructure comes, the prices will go up. But will the prices crash? We don't think so.
No, on what basis he is saying it? It is, if he is saying it, if there is a profit element there. Now, but if there is no profit element, where the crash will go? Now, crash can happen anywhere for that matter. Now, the crash means something else. That's okay. People lost confidence. People are saying that, no, you will not live in the house. That is a separate issue. But if, a seller cannot sell any flat or anything lower than the cost price. Now, what I am saying is that today, the selling price of most of the apartment is the cost price.
Yes, and when cost price and selling price are very close to each other, we don't think the markets can crash. Because the cost of materials has to be and the cost of land and the cost of marketing has to be the cost of sale. Yeah. And if the sale price and cost price are the very similar, we don't think that there should be a crash unless you have something more which you may want to share with us, and then we can discuss that, right? And infrastructure has been a problem, but we see infrastructure coming to completion rather than getting held up.
But ultimately, people have to live in this infrastructure only.
Yes,
because ultimately we are a developing country only. We can't think of it that okay, it's Switzerland or it's America and the infrastructure will develop like that all of a sudden. What I want to say is that infrastructure, we know it because in Delhi, nowhere the infrastructure is very good, but the prices of 2-bedroom houses in Mayur Vihar or say in South Delhi, it is not less than 1 crore.
Right. And infrastructure it takes up your property values, and infrastructure we think is improving. There's Naresh Soni of Delhi who says he's got a house in Delhi which I want to hand over to a private builder for redevelopment. Do you think it is a good idea to go with a plan like this? Prabhakar, this is a good time to talk about how with the new metro lines that are coming, you're going to see the FARs changing.
Yeah, additional one FAR and up to the 500 meter of both the side of the metro line. Though in Delhi, it is yet to come. It has not come as yet.
Where all has it come?
In Noida, in UP side and Haryana side. In Gurgaon also and NoidaGreater Noida.
Do you have any idea about other cities or many cities considering this?
In most of the cities, this is doing it. In Madhya Pradesh also, in Bangalore also, in Bombay also, because this is how they are trying to fund the construction of the metro lines. Because what will happen that for this additional 1 percentage point increase in the additional FSI, they'll have to pay the authority. And for that, with that money, basically, they are financing the construction of the metro line. Because this is the cross-funding kind of a thing they have developed. So, so with that additional FSI, if he wants to construct after the demolishing that entire house, I believe that this is a good decision, and particularly in India where the houses are in short supply and cost of construction.
Remember that the cost of construction is rather stable, but there are not too many buyers for.
That's true.
For individual units, people seem to tend to prefer group housing, gated communities, and so on. So if you're going for this, there are three things that you have to keep in mind. One, the developer that you go with, remember that you're not going to be protected under RERA. RERA only protects you when there are 8 housing units or more. If you have an individual housing unit and you're going to build 2 or 3 units, then if something goes wrong, you don't have the protection of RERA. So there you have to be very careful in your choice of the developer.
Exactly.
And when you make this joint building agreement, you have to make sure that it is registered with the authorities so that you have access to the civil courts. But remember that it is today the housing market has grown on the back of a RERA promise rather than the civil courts, because civil courts still take a very long time. Therefore, choose your developer with care. There is Monica Kaur of Hyderabad. Should I pay the maintenance charges when only my tower is complete and rest of the amenities are still under construction?
No, as soon as the possession will be given, the maintenance has to be paid.
Will that be a smaller amount, because some of the facilities that have been promised to Monica has not yet been completed in this stage?
Basically, the maintenance is always proportionate to what the developer or what that maintenance body is spending in maintaining that entire apartment. Okay, so it should be according to that, because maintenance is not to make profit. Now, if a maintenance company is coming, so they must have an RWA, and RWA can check that entire mathematics, that how much they are charging and how much they are spending. They might give him a profit of 10 to 12%. And accordingly, they will charge they will share the burden of that entire matter.
So, Monica, it's as Prabhakar says, it's a good thing that you're asking this question. What all are you paying for in maintenance? Now, suppose the club and say a swimming pool is not ready, but your maintenance for that is also being collected. That you don't have to pay. I think you will be able to negotiate with your developer, because even rarer authorities are going to back you and not the developer for charging for facilities that have not been handed over to you. But maintenance has to be paid, and maintenance is it's very critical that you give the maintenance charges. There is Mona of Noida who says, why are the electricity meter charges so high at the time of possession? Why do developers demand so much from consumers? I don't think it's developers who take, it's the electricity authority which...
The temporary connection they give, and temporary connection basically they pay also very high rate. Accordingly, they charge. But in some of the cases, what happens that even temporary connections are not available. Say they give all this on the basis of this genset electricity generated by the genset. So then they'll have to pay according to the charge, according to the cost of the generation, and that goes up to 16 rupees per unit sometimes.
And this is where we have spent an entire issue discussing this. When houses are built and actually approved without the concomitant electricity and water provisions, then this is what happens. In the last few years, last 5-6 years, what we've seen is peripheral areas were given the construction approvals, they were given development approvals, but the authority which collects, say, external development charges, internal development charges, and so on, have not spent that money providing those services that they were supposed to provide. And this is actually a lapse on the part of the authorities. So your developer actually is making it livable for you by using means, he's using jugaad actually to give you water and power and so on. But because the cost of provision individually is so much higher than at the city level, therefore the developer ends up charging more for it.
But still they can question the developer that what is the total cost of generation and how much you are charging, and that should be commensurate to each other. I mean, it's not that whatever they wish and they can charge. I mean, ultimately, it is the job basically which the RWA should monitor, and RWA can ask the developer, or RWA can take up that entire thing on its own hand, and they will say that, okay, we will manage our genset myself, and we will buy the diesel, and we will generate the electricity and supply it. So they can do it, but ultimately nobody would like to take that kind of a headache. So normally they leave it to the developer, and developer charge it. But they can question it, and developers should not charge. Now, in many places, particularly in NCR region, I know that developer is not charging for the electricity more than the government rates. So that is also there.
So developers have actually started responding to consumers like you and charging at authority rates. However, remember that generation on DG sets is always more expensive than at the city levels. There is Sadhna who says, how's the Gurgaon market in terms of returns? Do you suggest that I should be buying or wait a little more?
No, this is the right time to buy.
And we say it's the right time to buy because projects are coming through to completion. There is stock in the market. There are lots of consumers looking for property. And remember that if the markets are not going up as a whole, the unit that you want to buy, the individual unit, maybe east facing, south facing, with the right location and so on, those units may not be available. And if you wait too long, you may have to.
And your capacity to bargain also will not be there after say 6 months or 1 year down the line.
Should people invest in commercial, retail buyers invest in commercial property? Is it risky?
No, I'll not
There
say.
is Amit Mitra who wants to.
Now look, in commercial property, what kind? Now office space particularly, in certain area, you will have to see it that, like say in the Gurgaon or say in Bangalore, now the office occupancy is very high. Now availability of office space is not now, particularly the good quality office space. Now if developer is selling a part of that kind of a office space, then return you'll have to find out that what exactly the market return. Now accordingly you can place your price. Okay. But about the shops and other things, now what has been seen that in malls particularly, the returns are not very good.
Yeah.
It has not been good for last 3, 4, 5 years.
Yeah.
But on the high streets, now in some of the high streets where the catchments are good, the returns are phenomenal. Now, so you'll have to identify it and you'll have to work it around that. What is the footfall going to be? What is the catchment area? How many apartments have come? How many apartments are likely to come? Now, what is the kind of gentry of that area? And accordingly, prices should be paid. Now, no purchases are bad or good. It all depends on the price at which you are buying it. Now,
And at the time of investment.
in time of investment. Now suppose the other residential projects are still coming and it will take say 3 years down the line to come up. So the footfall will increase and accordingly your prices will increase.
Yeah.
So you'll have to find it out and accordingly you'll have to take the decision.
Property buying is a very complex issue, and no matter how much research you do, nobody can actually give you a rule of thumb which tells you that this is, if you buy here, the property prices will go up in this period of time. However, Magicbricks and KPMG did do a very detailed study on whether residential real estate is an investable asset. Please come to content.magicbricks.com. The study is available there. Read the study. It helps you understand whether you should buy and what the prospects are into the future. And it is not based on any one point of time. It is something that you as a buyer need to understand and how different properties behave when you invest in them. We are into the last about 10-12 minutes of our show. We've got a very interesting query. There is Neha who says that as authorities are in the process of setting up RERA authorities in every state and teething issues are visible. If only we talk about Haryana, there are about 300 queries received and out of which 60 is resolved. The case is no different in other states too. I have two questions. The 60-day period given by the government to resolve the query, is it in every aspect, or first address of the query should happen in 60 days? This is the first query. The second query she asks is, it is evident that RERA will take time to settle. Meanwhile, there are developers who are launching the projects rather completing the backlog. Do you think it's time to first clear the backlog, give possession rather than jumping to new ones? And to clear the existing stock, is the price correction required? Because the vibe in the market is consumer is still sitting on the fence.
Now, both the things, ultimately, there are particularly those developers who have lot of stocks to complete, they are not launching. But those developers who have completed almost all the projects, but still some projects are not completed because of some reason or other, like the infrastructure of that area has not come up and things like that. So those developers are launching new projects and they are the good developers mainly. At this point of time, if any developer is taking courage to launch a project, mind it, he must be a good developer, he must be a reputed developer, then only he can think of launching it, he can think of selling that product in the market. So it's not that and suppose if the launch is not happening, that means the market will come to a standstill after some time. So that should also not should not happen. So it's not bad, but saying it that they should wait till the entire project is completed, because it's not that, say, new developer like the Godrej, say, or for like the Mahindra space. Now they have completed all the projects in NCR region or other region. So certainly, if they want to continue their business, they'll have to launch a new project, and they will be launching it. So there is nothing wrong in that. Now, only thing is this, that the completion of a project or of a developer is project-wise. So you'll have to see that whether he's completing this project or not, that individual project. An individual project can be held up because of so many other reasons, not because of only developers. Let me tell you again and again. It could be because, like Dwarka Expressway, let me tell you again.
Infrastructure.
It's because of infrastructure. It is not because of the developer's fault that project is not completed. So now, accordingly, you'll have to take it that why the projects is delayed and what is the role of the developers in that. So the launching of new projects per se is not a bad thing.
Right.
It's not a bad thing at all.
Prabhakar, there is most cities around the world go for planned redevelopment. We have touched upon this briefly in one previous episode, but we'd like to tell you that when redevelopment happens in one area, there is a fallout of that redevelopment on the values in another area. This happened when when Dwarka came up. You saw traditional areas like Janakpuri, Vikaspuri, which had older stock, their values coming down and Dwarka values went up. Now, similarly, we have a large bank, the L zone, which has still not been addressed. When the L zone comes, what is going to be the impact on the rest of the markets? Should anyone predict? Should you be worried about that? Because now, it's a huge investment.
Who is going to be affected particularly? Now, say L zone is in Delhi. Now, Delhi's price is always much higher than that in Gurgaon or Noida. So, those who are intending to buy in Delhi, they must be a better off, buyers, the upper mid class buyers. So, particularly the upper segment of the property, particularly luxury property in Noida or Gurgaon, may be affected. But let me tell you that with a caution that doesn't mean that the mid segment houses price will appreciate. Its price will also get muted, because simply when the L zone will come, supply will increase like anything, because the total area that is coming in the L zone is something around 20,000 hectare of land, which is huge.
And how many housing units do we expect?
Something around 10-15 lakh units.
10-15 lakh units. Is there a demand for that? I don't think this 10-15 lakh is going to come up overnight. It will be planned, it will be phased.
10-15 years time will happen.
And we are seeing a lot of migration.
Huge, I don't know, 10 lakhs, but there's a figure, like the per acre, how much it is going to be constructed, but it is in lakhs, more than 5-7 lakhs.
And when this happens, you're going to see a phased construction happening, and that could impact the existing markets, but that is too far into the future. Therefore, we keep saying, wherever the master plan has not happened, do not buy into those areas. Buy into those areas that are master planned, where the authorities are giving all the approvals and where development is already taking place. Thank you so much for joining us. Prabhakar, you want to say something?
I want to say something that now one thing, don't think of it that as the supply will increase, the prices will always fall. It doesn't happen. Now, as the supply will increase, the buyers, the market will start also performing. So what happens that many other activities also picked up, and so if the commercial activity will also pick up, so the supply will also increase, and so the buyers will also come in the market, and there could be a traction in upward direction also. Right. Because ultimately it is the activities, ultimately the construction activities will drive the market up. Now, if all the construction activity stops, then market will start decaying. Yeah. So that is bad, in fact. Right. So a market to go up, market to perform, it is always that the more and more construction, more and more activity should pick up. So if L zone comes up, that means a lot more activity is going to come up in Delhi and the entire NCR region. So that will, in fact, let me tell you, that help Noida, Greater Noida, Faridabad, all the market, because that will give a great boost to the entire NCR. Absolutely. And it is such a huge area, like the great Gurgaon and the Noida itself has contributed to India's GDP significantly, particularly in IT sector. Right. So if that is going to come up, let me tell you, that is going to help the Indian economy also, because this is a huge area, and particularly a premium area is going to come up. That means many high quality activity is going to pick up in that area. Sure. So I believe that government should do something drastically to increase the pace to complete that entire area.
In fact, today the good news is that infrastructure and housing construction are keeping pace with each other.
Exactly.
And that is why areas that were earlier far-flung are now being made accessible by the time the housing units are ready.
So that as the activity will increase, I am sure that all the area will be benefited. All the investment will benefited. And so nobody should think that when the L zone will happens, the Gurgaon will be affected negatively and the prices will go down. Nowhere the prices, for sometimes it may happen that prices will remain stagnant because many people will go to buy that side. But ultimately, the prices are going to go up because of that. If that is going to come, the entire the dynamics of the NCR will change completely.
Right. Thank you so much for watching us. Do join us next Thursday again, 11:30 to 12:30. This is Jayashree Kurup signing off.
Thank you.